shape is going to be a cone, and kind of, I mean, obviously we have a circle on the bottom, which, you know, hopefully we recognize that as a surface area of pi r squared. You know, I don't know. Hopefully you know that. Maybe you don't. But this pi r squared is going to be the circle part, which means this pi rl, which is pi times the radius times L is the slant height, that's going to end up being the actual, I guess, cone part of it. And then, again, we're just going to add it together. So just like we did with the pyramid, we're going to do it in different faces. So that's what we're looking at here. I'm going to go ahead and you'll notice that if I want the surface area, again, I'm sorry, I'm going a little bit out of order here. If I want the surface area, again, it's going to be pi times the radius squared plus pi times the radius times the slant height. Well, I know what the radius is. I can fill that in. It's going to be half of the diameter, so it'll be 8. But what I don't know is what that slant height is. But again, if you sort of look at it, you can see that right triangle. So again, we're going to use the Pythagorean theorem, where I want the slant height of L. I have this height of 16, and half of the radius is going to be 8. So just going to use the Pythagorean theorem. 8 squared plus 16 squared equals L squared. I get 64 plus 256 is L squared, 320 is L squared, 17.9. So I know my slant height is 17.9. Now I can go down into this equation and sub in 8 squared, 3.14, 8, and just sort of multiply. Keep an eye on order of operations. You need to do 8 squared first. Then you're going to multiply by 3.14. Over here, you're going to multiply all these things together, and the last thing you're going to do is add. So don't forget, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I get 200.96 plus 449.65 equals 650.61 centimeters squared, not units squared. And that is that. Now, interestingly enough, I think you're going to find that usually the surface area is more difficult to get than the volume. You would kind of think the volume would be more difficult because it's in 3 dimensions, whereas the surface area is only in 2, but usually it ends up not being the case. So for this cylinder, the volume is going to be 1/3 of pi. The radius, we already know the radius, is going to be 8, and then the height, they gave us the height of 16. I will say this, on your worksheet, sometimes they're going to give you the actual height, and sometimes they're going to give you the slant height. So when you go to make these right triangles, you need to know which one they're giving you, and work around it. Because like I said, sometimes they'll give you the slant height or the hypotenuse, and you'll be left to solve for the actual height. Sometimes they'll give you the actual height, and you'll have to solve for the slant height. So just be aware of that, and be, you know, prepared to confront that. So again, it's 1/3 times pi times radius squared times height. Again, I can plug all those numbers in. Again, order of operations, I need to do that 8 squared first. And then when I multiply it to 1 times, and at the end I can divide it all by 3. And I think, what were these? Yeah, these are centimeters, right? So I'm going to end up at centimeters, and again, it is centimeters cubed. And again, be aware of that.